What do you normally think of when you hear magical garden, frolicking fairies, beautiful blooms? How about thorns? And a lot of them. This doll is part of a collaboration hosted by the Doll Art Collective, featuring the work of over 25 amazing artists. The theme was put up to a vote on the collective's Instagram, where Magical Garden was selected. So of course I decided to make a fairy. I feel like fairy dolls are one of those rites of passage for every doll customizer, so I feel like I'm long overdue for mine. But rather than a super cute fairy, I'm gonna go a little old school with this one. In Legends, fair folk had a small yet generally human-like appearance, though with a few distinctively inhuman features such as pointed ears, tails, cloven feet, or beady eyes. And of course wings. For my fairy, I'm inspired by twisting thorns, barbed brambles, and general pointiness. After all, every rose has its thorns, and you can't pick blackberries without navigating thorny thickets. 5-year-old Toby found that out the hard way. My fairy is going to have a bit of an impish look to her. Like most fae, she's not evil, but she definitely operates on a different plane of morality than people do, and she works hard to preserve the beauty of her flowers and the sweet taste of her berries. Heaven help you if you make a mess of things.
I'm using this Draculaura with a missing forearm because that's perfect for letting me add my own bells and whistles. To challenge myself, I won't be sewing anything for this doll. Instead, I want to sculpt everything to keep the details appropriately thorny, pointy, and close to the body. Kind of like what I did with my contortionist. For this, I'm once again using my trusty Milliput. First though, I'm going to sand off the casting lines and sculpted underpants. Fairies are often depicted wearing minimal clothing, but rather than being completely nude, I want to give her some scale or bone-like details that imitate clothes. I'm adding some thorns on her legs and sharp toenails to make her a little more pointy, as well as some spiky bits jutting out of her chest and back. More of the same on her head. She's going to get some more pointy details, some more scaly details, as well as some horns. I'm also sculpting some much larger ears on there. I'm leaving the back of the head intact so I can add hair later. Off cam, I added some spines to her body using some of the remaining toothpicks from my contortionist headpiece. It's a good thing this Drac is missing an arm because now I can give her a big thorny arm because subtlety and minimalism are overrated. I'm wrapping the forearm in cling wrap so I can refine the top better once everything dries. I'm also using this barbecue skewer as a base to stabilize the design and give me a guide to sculpt along. Once everything is cured, I use my Dremel tool to sand the sculpted components and carve out extra details before covering the whole doll in a layer of primer. Now she gets her fun colors. To make her more vivid and visually appealing, I'm going with a very maleficent color scheme. Originally, I was going to give her green skin, but between that and the pointy details, it looked too dragon-like. Instead, everything will get a purple color. I'll add a black gradient with a touch of green to her extremities, and the sculpted areas will be painted over with a solid coat of black. I'll go back over the spikes, horns, and spines with green micropigment and dry brushed gold paint to highlight them. Once the base coats are down, I seal her with Mr. Super Clear to protect the paintwork and to get the head ready for the face-up. Between the horns and the scaly details on her head, I'm going to keep the face up pretty simple to keep the design from getting too cluttered. The dark purple is also rather difficult to work with, so that's a thing too. In true fashion, she's getting tiny little eyebrows. She's also getting some cat-like eyes for that added layer of impishness. It was here that I low-key rage quit on the face. Between shooting myself in the foot with a deep purple skin tone and struggling to make things stand out without looking jarring, this project really hasn't been going super well. After seething for a bit, I came up with a Hail Mary that could help me salvage what I can from this perceived wreck, in the form of her hair. More on that shortly. I'm also going to add some of this metallic leaf to her horns, spikes, and index finger because shiny. I'm adding UV resin to all the sculpted details to help them pop more against the matte skin. As a last touch, she's getting some purple micro glitter on her cheeks, forehead, collarbone, and thighs. I'm using this hair from the doll planet to give this fairy her coiffure. It's a very deep black, so it'll match the rest of the design nicely. I'm also using this leftover hair from Restore Doll for some additional color. It normally looks black, but it's in fact a very dark eggplant purple. I was actually planning on rerooting this time, but I goofed and forgot that I would need to remove her head to secure the plugs, and I didn't want to do that after painting, sculpting, and face up. And with how this has been going, that would just be tempting fate. I'm just going to glue wefts onto her head into a long asymmetric style. She'll also be getting the Sia treatment, with her bangs covering her eyes. That way, one never really knows quite what she's thinking, or what she's looking at when mischief is brewing. Every fairy needs their wings, but she's not getting a big pair of sparkly butterfly wings. Instead, I'm going for the bone dragon route. Super impractical and infeasible without magic, but it looks cool. These are going to be delicate and spindly like spider legs, but I'm keeping them small to keep the design from getting too cluttered. I'm sculpting them separately from the doll and adding them with magnets once they're sanded, painted, and glossed. You know, if I had a nickel for every collab doll I made that featured metal leaf, toothpicks, predominantly sculpted details, long hair pulled into a ponytail, a monster high base, and a lot of purple, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's still weird that it happened twice. Anyway, she's done. I really finished this doll by the seat of my pants, but this was a fun change of pace, even if it didn't quite go according to plan. Despite having things I don't like about her, I do really like her silhouette. I think it's probably my most distinctive. The gold leaf always adds a nice touch too. This doll was part of the Magical Garden collab organized by the Doll Art Collective on Instagram. There are so many awesome artists that contributed to this collab. Check them out when you're done here.
What do you imagine when you think of magical gardens? Let me know in the comments down there. Let me know in the comments, or just leave a fairy emoji to let me know you made it this far. Maybe like, subscribe, and comment while you're here too. That'd be nice. Thanks again for watching, my dudes, and I'll see you next time for Spooky Month.